I'm Jongerius. I'm an industrial designer. I have a very small group of clients, so I really am very picky who I work with because I wanted to have a longer relation with clients and also that you can build together a collection. I work for textiles with Maharam in New York, so I do upholsteries. I do 3, 4, 5 textiles a year for the American market, but Fordrat is the company that sells it in Europe. And then I do Vitra, I do furniture with them, but I'm also the art director for textiles, colors, surfaces, classics. And then I work for KLM, so I have an aviation part in my portfolio. So we did the business class for the 747 aircraft interior. We did all the soft parts, but also the chair, so it's the full interior. And then I just did the UN Lounge in New York for the Delegates with a team, Rem Koolhaas, Irma Boom, Louise Schouwenberg and Gabrielle Lester. For the Dutch government, we did the interior of the Delegate Lounge. This will be opened in September. So this is the group of projects that I'm now working on.
Dutch industrial designer Helle Jongerius is a divergent thinker, an innovator who has sustained an impressive portfolio and career with her unique methodology and holistic approach to industrial design. She uses a plethora of mashed-up materials and interdisciplinary collaborators to create hybrid forms of functional objects and integrated spaces. Incorporating new interpretations of old process, combining handcraft elements with modern technology, her work seamlessly integrates both the immediate needs of practical function with the interactive durability necessary for lasting resilience. Jongerius has proven that industrial design can comprise of both effortless functionality and integral meaning, embodying the designer's message and accommodating the user's response. Her work shows a sensitive and practical understanding that part of the design process in interaction that users will inevitably attach their own significance, incorporate their own media, and establish their own presence within the object or space. She accepts the natural evolution of design by anticipating the current tendencies and future needs of her audience, rather than dictating how one should utilize and interact with her work. In order to understand her strengths as a designer, explore her affinity for the esoteric, unpack her innovation in concept and process, and appreciate the full narrative of her work, we must look at some key pieces from her portfolio. Jongerius deals with functionality and design problems the way a painter deals with a blank canvas. She has the ability to see beyond the boundaries of convention and physical limits to consider all possibilities and capabilities of an object or space. This is not to say her work is without restrictions. Limits come in many forms, most often budgetary, but square footage, technology, and industrial durability standards are also common factors. Such limits can serve as the backbone of a project, the defining factor for the overall scope. For Jongerius, it's the self-imposed limits of the designer that is the enemy, as she has made her mark in the design world by pushing expectations of what design needs to look like and which materials can be made in order to function. One way she does this is to dive headfirst into both the creative and manufacturing processes. For it's only when the material pushes the envelope do new possibilities and unexpected concepts emerge. Her most recent environment was the designing of the new interior, including the furniture, bar area, computer stations, window treatments, and floor plan of the United Nations North Delegates Lounge in 2013. Her first step was to gather a close-knit team of fellow Dutch designers to tackle the project, namely Gabrielle Lester, graphic artist, Louise Schoenberg and Irma Boom, designers, and Rem Koolhaas, architect. The second step was to define the problem of the interior space, its functions, and more importantly, its possibilities. She was up to the task as she asserted in a profile published in Icon magazine My talent is that my tuition is very good. If I see things on a table, I know this is something and this is nothing. Jongerius had to consider the multiple and often contradictory requirements for this space. Privacy and visibility, openness and definition, conformity and adaptability, business and leisure. The finished design addresses these issues with elegant simplicity and Jongerius' trademark touches of whimsy. The floor plan is reimagined as a kind of studio space with transitional coloring in the carpet to delineate defined sections. The window treatments are curtains of ceramic beads and knotted cord, veiling but not concealing the view of the city outside, creating a loose grid pattern that both reflects and disrupts the architectural panes. Ollie Stratford of London-based Design magazine writes of the curtain. The beads layout was random, albeit denser than the bottom, and thinning out as the yarn ascended, producing an anarchic filter to contrast against the rigidity of the New York grid system. The seating arrangements are flexible, as most chairs are mobile, with wheels, and incorporate a myriad of styles and design within the same space, allowing for an eclectic consistency to the look of the room regardless of their location or cluster pattern. The computer stations are open desks, but include privacy shields in the form of textured semi-transparent colored plastic half domes, where the screens are cleverly, not inauspiciously, hidden from view. These bubble partitions also resemble the half-dome designs of the iMac G3 units, which were popular at the time. Jongerius made the partitions slightly larger to give an intimate feeling at a desk with the sphere covering a desktop computer. This gives the user more privacy, which allows the user to focus, undistracted and uninterrupted. Here we see that Jongerius is an artist who not only considers the user experience, but enhances it. She specializes in creating design solutions attuned to contemporary needs, harmonic and coexistence in our working and personal lives. This aim, her focus on integrating the computer technology and intuitive creativity, has been consistent in her work. She firmly believes in putting technology inside furniture. The entire space is outfitted in her new color palette, including her polder sofas based on Dutch topography and other pieces created specifically for the space. Jongerius' color palettes are incredibly important factors in all her work, often culminating in the overall flavor of the piece, installation, or space. In the Delegates Lounge, the color scheme is cheerful, yet not too saturated, incorporating plenty of rich earth tones and a mix of complementary and analogous secondary colors. Texture is another key signature of her work, as she considers this medium as a way to explore design possibilities is a way that doesn't require one to reinvent the wheel. She says in the video interview with Design magazine, "If you design a textile, you also don't have to design a full new piece, as texture, color, and surfacing explorations are the way designers paint their canvases." She goes to further explain, if you design new skins, you also don't have to design a new object. Just the skin can make the new design. And through this concept, she finds validity in textiles as an equal process to industrial design. By creating a new skin, she is able to preserve the foundation of a well-designed piece, but reinterpret the way it is perceived. This inclusive attitude and scathing critique, regardless unnecessary redesign within our newer is better throwaway culture, is her way of rethinking sustainability in the arts. It's not enough to design something for the novelty, just giving it your own creative stamp. It must fulfill a need and have reason to exist in its own merits. With this in mind, she has also explored the nature of three-dimensional objects as both functional tools and experimental art. For instance, designing a table must be spatial. Designing a table must be special. It must serve both the standard function of a table plus its own unique purpose. One of the ways in which she explores this idea is by reintroducing handmade craftsmanship to her industrial work. According to Jiggs Baker and Louis Schuenberg in the essay, I'm a user, not a consumer, one of the most unique aspects of Jongerius' approach is to design her choice to celebrate the traces of the fallible process of making things by hand, which was prompted by a desire to infuse products with more soul. Although works like these are mass-produced, there exists a human quality as each piece is made with a rare attention to detail. For this, her designs are often praised as intelligent and sensitive solutions for modern needs. This reintroduction of hand craftsmanship in industrial objects is best seen in one of her most famous furniture pieces, the Frog Table, created in 2009. It is an utterly delightful mashup of furniture and sculpture, quite difficult to ascertain whether this is a sculpture serving as a table or a table with a sudden case of zoomorphism. Either way, it is not only the example of Jongerius' sport with functional objects. According to Alice Rawsthorne, in her article for the New York Times Global Edition, one of Jongerius' favorite tactics is to use decoration as a benign way of tricking people into associating her objects with the intimacy of hand craftsmanship, even if they were produced in tens of thousands of units for IKEA. We see this tactic at play in an earlier piece, the Porcupine Desk, created in 2007. Perfectly exemplifying her ideas, this is a unique, handcrafted design specific to its purpose, yet going beyond initial function to interact with the users in its own occupied space. Plays with our own understanding of practical furniture. Under Jongerius' treatment, a desk is not merely a working surface. It's not even a complete concept unless its environment and all the tools necessary for its use and enjoyment have been considered. Here, the porcupine is ornamented with colored pencils, a clever pun on quills, as writing utensils, both practical function and whimsical play on form. Her most recent work, and one that allowed her to stretch her design skills even more, was a commission from KLM, Royal Dutch Airlines, in 2013, for a new textile scheme in their business class cabin interior. This project soon evolved into a complete redesigning of the entire interior, including cubicle chairs. This was a coup for Jongerius, as it was unusual in interior aviation design to create a custom furniture system. Most are chosen from catalog of regulated chair designs. Issues of privilege, luxury, and the exclusivity involved in the project are addressed in the acknowledgement that it allows designers like Jongerius the freedom to explore a wide variety of options, a necessary evil at times. Her main focus, however, was to use that opportunity to bring some humanity back into the scene with her open cubicle design. And careful attention to changeable details and calming color scheme. In the air, you are frequently disallowed access to phones and the internet. Any entertainment you employ to occupy your time comes from either a set choice provided by the airline or whatever materials you bring with you. Here, the practical need for privacy and the human-centered proclivity for community is isolating environments are combined with providing efficient, self-contained spaces within an open area. The human connection is therefore reintroduced in both self-sufficiency and freedom of space. Once again, opposing needs united by the juxtapositions of her design solutions. Jongerius has clearly demonstrated a technical understanding of integration and a willingness to trust her instincts. Her work sets a clear path for other designers to follow and break free from our conformity-driven society. She clearly understands the value of pushing limits and the controversy it ignites, demonstrating the knowledge and wisdom needed to make it work. Trials and tribulations are often necessary experiences to hone one's craft, and her work gives us an opportunity to examine our own intuition, passions, and methods. These designs prove how important and relevant mixing disciplines have become. and are essential in an increasing global-minded environment. Contemporary designers and consumers alike take modern technologies for granted. New technology, mediums, and production methods have opened up design opportunities, and Jongerius has been way ahead of the curve on these trends. She has proven, from the 1990s to now, both old and new technologies must work in tandem to make design meaningful and create pieces suited for both one-offs and mass production. Designers are no longer enthralled to technology exclusivity, but have understood, digested, and explored the possibilities to create a lasting impact. Artistic, practical, and futuristic, her designs also express some important social commentary. Her portfolio is filled with examples of how simultaneously powerful, addictive, and versatile computers and other modern appliances can be in the hands of an industrial artisan. This point is well made by Mary Sjsu in her book, International Textile Design. Industry and craftspeople have much to offer each other. The installation of computer-aided design and manufacturing system represent a departure from the linear progression of the first and second industrial revolutions, which initially gave us mass production and then, in the years between 1945 and 1985, much higher speeds and standards but greater uniformity purpose. Modern technology certainly made Jongerius' ideas and constructive collaborations possible, especially in the terms of their creation, publication, and affordability. She has reaped the benefits of global idea and interdisciplinary cooperation, but what sets her apart is her fusion of hand craftsmanship along with these technologies. Her designs are not just delightful, but also showcase clever and sustainable options. In her 2009 interview for the New York Times, Jongerius said this of her process and intent. What interests me is the relationship between objects and people, and what triggers it. She certainly found her niche.